Hello, my lovelies. Thank you all for joining. So what happened yesterday, I'd made this video on how Bitcoin's perfectly inelastic and a whole bunch of price targets. But in the last 20 something hours, a lot has changed. And let me explain exactly what. So let's jump in. Thank you all for joining as well. And thank you to the moderators in the chat for being here and everybody else. In fact, MT as well. Hi. So this is more numbers, more updates, an important update from Blackrock executives and so much more. So let's jump in. Yesterday I did do that story. I broke down the actual supply and demand and impact of the halving and price targets, bare minimum 65K up to 270K and bull case $920,000 Bitcoin. But now something has changed. And I'm pretty good at estimating numbers where they will go, but this happened yesterday. So this was a LMA conference, and they had executives, former executives from BlackRock, etc., talking about where we're going to go next. And basically, the director said, SEC will approve Bitcoin ETF in the next 3 to 6 months. But that's not what's important. He said some other things too. It's imminent. He also, I think a guy called Martin Bednall said the SEC will approve all ETF applications at the same time. I don't think they want to give BlackRock a first mover advantage. And also Schoenfield said instead of completely rejecting the whole list, they've asked for comments, which is also an improvement in the dialogue. And interesting piece as well. Larry Fink, of course, the head of BlackRock, said things like crypto is digitizing gold in many ways. And you can see that with gold's performance lately. It has not been good, considering the backdrop as well. But what's really important is probably this little quote that this guy, Stephen Schoenfield, said. And that is spot ETF approval timeline. The most important piece is he expects $150 to $200 billion of inflow into Bitcoin products over the 3 years following spot ETF approval, potentially doubling or tripling asset under management in Bitcoin products. This will be huge, and that was my post last night. And people on Patreon asked me to redo the numbers based on this. So let's do a quick reminder. We do have 900 trillion in assets. I showed the breakdown yesterday. At the end, I'll show you the new potential target for Bitcoin and what share of assets it has in the future. And I did talk yesterday about the impact of halving, how we have $900 million of Bitcoin demand every month, but the supply is 900. So the price kind of finds equilibrium. Bitcoin just hit 28,000. It's up $500 today. So it is kind of doing well so far in October. But the key here is what happens when the actual supply turns into half, 450 million, but the demand is still 900 million. And then there's additional demand from spot ETFs. So we did walk through the halving rewards. By the way, I'll add that video later. It's much more detail and breaking down the numbers. This is just a quick update on those numbers. But the key thing here is the halving reward will halve from 328,000 Bitcoin a year during this cycle. Starting April 17th, 2024, it'll become 164,000 a year, which is a big haircut. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin, its scarcity. And this is what I was reflecting, the supply will be halved and the demand will be equal, assuming it stays equal. Of course, it's not going to stay equal. I covered in yesterday's video as well Metcalfe's law and how demand will increase, especially as price goes up. People will get FOMO and it'll be in the headlines and everything else. That's just all happening as clear as day. And the most important thing too, this is a stunning chart from Glassnode. 80% of all Bitcoin has not moved in 182 days. That's half a year. And UTXOs younger than 6 months account for less than 20% of the supply total. This data is significant because it suggests there's a large amount of Bitcoin that is not being actively traded. And this is due to a number of factors that I believe. First of all, investors who are in Bitcoin now, 80% of them believe in its potential as a store of value or digital gold. And they know the pre-halving run is coming and the post-halving run, and they know a spot ETF is coming too. Nobody in their right mind is selling at this stage based on on-chain data. That's why on-chain data is so important. Now, let's talk about these new numbers, the new 150 billion to 200 billion over the next 3 years. What impact does that have on my multiplier model? Well, here we are. In the past ones, I ran through different scenarios of equivalent demand with just the halving, and then different scenarios for Wall Street coming in with a percentage of their assets under management, and I ran through different, allocations. But this new number from Stephen Schoenfield really changed the calculus quite a lot. So here we have kind of demand, supply, for demand 900 million a month, supply 450 million a month after the halving. Excess monthly demand, that's $4.86 billion a month. That's when you divide 150 to 200 billion. I took 175 billion and I divided by 36 months, and that gives us 4.86 billion in excess monthly demand times my multiplier, gives a monthly Bitcoin price increase of $8,100 on the nose. And Bitcoin price today is just shy of 28K. And let's see exactly what that means for the Bitcoin price out to April 2028. And here we are, the redux of the number per Stephen Schoenfield. And it would take the price basically to $424,902 by April 2028, which is kind of staggering considering the price is 28K right now. So basically, it'll be going up a hell of a lot. But there's more. So here are the price targets from yesterday with the modification in green per Stephen and his numbers. So yesterday, my worst case for April 2028 was 64K. My expected case was 278K. Stephen's new numbers, if he is right, and that is over 3 years, there'll be $150 to $200 billion coming in. That'll take the Bitcoin price to $424,000. And the bull case is $920,000. And again, this thing is becoming scarce. If new people come into the space, this thing is just going to go, because there's so little Bitcoin per human on Earth. Now, I also did a redux of the global assets and what it would look like. Again, this redux assumes everything else stays equal today, but the Bitcoin share grows. So Bitcoin with this price from Stephen Schoenfield, which is 424,836 times the number of Bitcoin that exist in April 2028, will take the total market cap of Bitcoin to $8.5 trillion on the nose, which would make up 0.98% of global assets. All very theoretically achievable. Again, and this doesn't even assume, we're just talking about Blackrock and Fidelity and a couple of other players. It doesn't assume all the other money that could come in from all the other places in the world, and maybe even nation states too. So as I always say, all roads lead to, if anybody can answer that, drop a comment below. And I'll be on later again. I have a new series. People want me to break down kind of the tools and models. And we have our TA masterclass. We're going to be talking about DCA on steroids and its related secrets and how you can stack for this very, very important time of our lives. I keep on saying the next 12 to 18 months will be so critical and a lot of fun. So stay healthy, my friends. Thank you for the likes, and thank you to everyone on Patreon. And also ask me to do this too, because I would have done the numbers anyway. So I love it. Thank you all. See you later. Bye.